we had a lot of news coming out from Rumorville, Rumor Mill, Rumor Mill Land. So let's get started with today's first one, and that is the one where the Lakers are targeting Serge Ibaka of Toronto. So Toronto, Serge Ibaka of Toronto, really good player, guys. I think he can really help the Lakers. And when I got my information this time, Yahoo Sports, they've been very nice to me in the article area. And now we can start talking about Ibaka. So Lakers are set to make moves this offseason, and Serge Ibaka is part of that trade area. And Son Devani suggests that Ibaka would be a good fit for the Lakers in the 5 or the 4, which is the center or the power forward position. And he, with the mid-level exception, he can go for as much as 5.5 million. My original take was the fact that he's a good idea as long as he can back up Anthony Davis and any other players that need help in the game. I think he's a good option to have for our Lakers. Now, will it be the best option? That has yet to be seen. Because we know Ibaka can score, we know how Ibaka can play ball. It's just that will he be the correct option for the Lakers this coming season? It's gonna be a tough one because I really think he's a good player. It's just that we have to be thinking about salary cap. We have to be thinking about will he be a good fit, and we have to be thinking about is he really needed to be with the Lakers? Because remember, we have Anthony Davis, LeBron James. We're looking for a third star. Kyle Kuzma has proved that he is not our third star. Danny Green has also proved that he is not our third star. We actually have players on the bench right now that actually make sense for our third star position. It's just that right now the Lakers are looking for superstars to come to the Lakers to become champion. Now, Ibaka himself is a champion himself with Toronto and all that good stuff. So, comments below. Tell me what you guys think about the Serge Ibaka rumor from Yahoo Sports, and tell me what you guys think. Should we get him? Get Mr. Ibaka for the Lakers to come over to LA. Next one we talked about is Kyle Kuzma, talking about getting a sizable deal next season. Assuming that he will be around next season, Klutz Points reported on this one. And here's a summary of that article. At the end of next season, Kyle Kuzma becomes an RFA, restricted free agent, with a chance to get a rookie extension contract. Brian Windhorst with ESPN suggests that Kuzma could get a sizable contract, quotation marks on sizable contract. Kuzma averaged 12.8 points this season. However, he has been linked to Chris Paul, Derrick Rose, and more recently, Demar Derozan, who we will touch on in just a moment. And my original take for that was that he was a good player and deserves a contract. Now, my take has changed a little bit. Now that I was thinking about how he really did with with the Lakers this season. It was tough for Kuzma at some point in the season because of course we had the bubble, we had this and that. I think Kuzma can play. It's just that he needs to be consistent with with his play. It's just not consistent at this point in time. So I am going to say for now, with free agency coming starting next week, Rumorville will still be open. I have a feeling we're gonna start getting a lot of sign and trades and all this good stuff very, very, very soon as we get ready for free agency next week. and the draft, which I will talk about in just a moment as well. So let me know what you guys think in those comments below. How you guys think about Mr. Kuzma for the Lakers and that sizable contract? Our next one, I'm going to wait the salary cap until the last one because that one very, very interesting. So DeMar Derozan, everybody's favorite rumor so far on this channel, on the Lakers and on the Lakers websites, all this good stuff. Not Kyle Kuzma, DeMar Derozan to the Lakers. The one I decided to break down is from Bleacher Report, and they say Lakers have interest in making a big move, which could include a trade for DeMar Derozan. Kevin O'Connor suggests that the Spurs are doing this trade as part of a rebuilding process that involves their players, including Derek White. Green and Kuzma, mentioned in this deal, would be returning to San Antonio, having played there somewhere between 2010 and 2018. Both players were inconsistent during the Lakers' playoff run. That's a little summary of that article. And my original take for this particular trade was that it was a good idea as long as the players have chemistry with each other. Now, I am going to change that take right now. And here's why. If you guys remember, when I broke down the article with that video, I believe a few days ago, I mentioned something about the salary cap, and we need to mention that again. Because even though everybody's like, let's go sign Ibaka, sign DeMar Derozan, or hey everybody, let's sign this player and that player to the Lakers. We have to remember about the salary cap because right now, by calculations, before trade rumors and all this good stuff, we are over by about $30 million by math. If my math is correct, $30 million is a lot. Get them all. Jimmy says get them all. Oh, yeah. Yes, Jimmy. Yeah, I wish we could get them all because they are good players. It says that I think the front office is looking into the salary cap section of the Lakers because we're over by like 30 million. You can fund them. Yeah, I think you can. Let's see what the front office for the Lakers does because it's going to be a really interesting draft next week, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to cover. I'll talk about the draft in just a few minutes. Now, speaking of the salary cap, silver screen and roll, as if they were my best friends on this channel and on this journey, is another article about the salary cap and a salary cap situation. As you guys know, the NBA Players Association just approved the season for December 22nd, and part of that deal included the salary cap information, which I want to go over one more time. I know it sounds weird, but we have to review this because it's an important topic in the NBA. So the salary cap for this season, ladies and gentlemen, is $109.4 million. The luxury tax is 132.62 cents. For every dollar or every million you go over, you have to pay that. The Lakers do have bird right, which I'll explain in just a moment. They also have the mid-level and biannual exception. The mid-level is 9.3 million and the biannual is 3.6 million. Now everybody believes that the biannual exception is every year, but no. The rule says 2 years for that biannual exception. If you combine the both of them for like math purposes, if you combine the mid-level and biannual, it's $12.9 million. Now, all the players alone are like $126 million. With assets like the draft pick coming up next week, the draft pick alone is $2 million, and that's gonna be impacting the money here. So, with that said, Silver Screen and Roll broke down this way. The NBA Players Association recently voted to begin the next season on December 22nd, 2020. Along with the start date of the next season, there was news of the salary cap and luxury tax. The cap was set to $109.4 million. The Lakers are over the cap by about $30 million now, of course, give or take a few thousand, because of course there's points in this and that. The players and assets alone become up to $126.6 million without the biannual and mid-level exception rules. The Lakers have less flexible path to player hunting this free agent period, which makes sense because you have a lot of assets going on with the Lakers here. You have the players, you have the draft coming up. That's a $2 million rule, and you have the whatever comes our way. And the free agent hunting period included a few players that I was never thinking about. Now I want to bring it back to that video. So players included Tristan Thompson, which another rumor. I was going to break that down, but I did not want to. I don't think that was breaking down like worthy. Now I think it could have been broken down worthy. So you have Tristan Thompson of Cleveland, Norland Noel of Oklahoma. You have Aaron Bynus of Phoenix. DJ Augustine was another one I was not expecting, Orlando. And Mo Harkless of New York Knicks. So you have those five. And then out of those five, right now the cheapest one, quotation marks, is Norleans Noel of Oklahoma City. Now, of course, he's a rookie. That's a rookie contract of $2 million. So right now, that's the only one we could try for if we're not going to try to go way over the cap. The more expensive player is Tristan Thompson. If you combine it for per year, that's 16.4 million, because it's 5 years for 82 million contract total. If you think about it, yeah, that's an expensive player right there. That's an expensive Cleveland player. Now, of course, Tristan Thompson was a good player, but we'll see. We have to see what our Lakers front office will be doing. Now, other players I might be wanting to watch, DJ Augustine. We've heard his name before, but we never associate DJ Augustine with the Lakers. We always associate the Lakers with superstars like Durant, like Serge Ibaka, like all those other players, Demar Derozan. They don't associate usually Augustine with the Lakers. It's just that's a very interesting one to go with. So I went over with that. Now, salary cap. I have to talk about one other thing before we move on to the other stuff that I want to talk about with the Lakers. And that is that $139.4 million when you combine everything, including mid-level and biannual exception numbers. So that number exceeds the tax, of course, the luxury cap. Now, because of that, the Lakers cannot use the mid-level exception by rule. There's a rule there. They cannot use the mid-level exception if you go over the cap by a few dollars. Now, even if you take out the biannual exception, we'll be back to $135.8 million. Now, even if you remove Quinn Cook, who's still on the roster, it's still not going to be enough. His contract is less than $5 million, and that's not even close to being under the cap. And now, if you guys remember, I told you guys in that video, exceptions cannot be combined on one player. That means you cannot combine a mid-level and a biannual. Let's say, for example, Dwight Howard. You cannot do that. You have to split it with different players. The mid-level, they did say if KCP stays with his original contract deal, then he's going to try to stay with that mid-level exception rule. But if not, they cannot use the full mid-level exception. of 9.3 million. Okay, that's what they're doing there. Also, I forgot to mention about Luau Dang, another player I think you guys need to know about. There's a rule there when we signed him long time ago. That apparently he has an injury. If I remember correctly, Luau Dang was injured and he can no longer play in the NBA. Now, unfortunately, he's still considered on the payroll because of that contract deal, and the Lakers still owe him about $5 million. So you still have to put in Dang for the contract for the numbers. That's why it's still above the salary cap exception rules. Now, if they go free agent bargain hunting, there's another player who we've been talking about for the last few weeks that has popped up again, and that is Gallinari. Dino Gallinari has popped up again, and they say this article was the one from Silver Screen and Roll, and they said that he will not go anywhere to the Lakers unless they offer him more than $9 million. That's a lot. That $9 million is a lot, but we have to see what what our front office says about $9 million because we're over by a lot. Serge Ibaka, is not going anywhere unless he gets offered like up to like 20 million bucks. And if we combine Ibaka with Kuzma, I mean not Kuzma, but DeRozan, that's already 40 million. That's a lot of money over the cap too. Now, will they go for? I have a good feeling a trade is coming. Now, it's not a Retruyuki guarantee. Just like Chuck, I am not doing the Retruyuki guarantee. But I have a good feeling that they're going to start picking up trades here. And here's what I'm thinking that's going to happen. Now, don't quote me on this, but because I'm just starting my first year doing this. But here's what I'm saying. That CBS Sports article we covered way back in week 2 or 1 said something about Danny Green and Kyle Kuzma going for a third star. But they also mentioned the trade of the draft pick. We have. Oh, you're going to quote me, huh? Come on, Jimmy, come on. You're going to quote me on that one. Okay. Okay, the challenge is on, my friend. So here's what I'm thinking. The 28th draft pick this season, this coming week, next week, is going to be an important pick. Will the Lakers trade that pick plus Kyle Kuzma and Danny Green to another team for the chance at a superstar? If that's going to happen, they have to make it a very good deal, though, because it's not going to make sense if they can make a good deal. So that's what I'm thinking with the Lakers. I have a good feeling. Multiple trades are going to happen. Let's not forget that. But that big one is going to be a factor during during this offseason. And remember, next Wednesday is the draft. I'll talk about what I'm going to be doing for our draft party, quotation marks, in just a few moments. Now, I did want to talk about one other thing. Yeah, here we go. It is it. Speaking of the salary cap, guess who's over the cap this season? Golden State Warriors. Guess what I told you guys about them? They're going to get healthy. They're going to get healthy this season. And I have a good feeling Golden State is going to be a playoff team if they're going to be healthy enough for this coming season to get ready for what could be a very rough season. 76ers are also in the salary cap. Boston Celtics are in the salary cap. And the Brooklyn Nets are also in the salary cap this season. This is going to be very interesting salary cap wise for our teams here, especially those four. All right. Now, speaking of the draft, I have some announcements to make for you guys as we get ready to close out the show here. The announcements are as follows. So I will be doing a NBA draft special episode of Lake Show Talks. Well, I'm going to be showing you guys who we got, what we get, or other good stuff. Any draft pick trades and all that good stuff. I'm going to show them on Thursday, not Wednesday. No show, no episode on Wednesday, just for next week because of the draft. And then Thursday, I'm going to break down what the Lakers got. And if I see something very interesting with other teams, then I'm going to point that out to you guys on Thursday. We'll also discover the stats from the player's college career and how they could fit according to the analysis from the experts at NBA. Okay? Then on Friday, because the free agency period actually begins on Friday of next week, instead of doing a rumor, I'm going to look back on my favorite five rumors to break down. So it's gonna have a top five rumors for me to break down this season. As we head to our next category of videos, and that is transactions. Okay, so that will be on Friday. And I'm also going to be talking about what I enjoyed so far about doing this Lakers Talk project. And I cannot wait to share what I have for you guys on Friday. And finally, for you guys, our show here on Facebook is also being now on Twitter. We are going to be on Twitter starting next week for our show. We're going to be at Lake Show Talks on Twitter. We're going to be starting there next Saturday. Now, keep in mind, there might be a test stream at any time next week because I just want to make sure everything is working correctly. But we will be live on Twitter with this show at 5:30, assuming that everything goes correctly. Now, you might be wondering why early today, because I do have a thing to go to later today. That's why I'm doing it at 3 instead of 5:30. Okay, so we'll be on Twitter next week. So if you guys want to check that out, make sure it's actually on the top of your screen right now, where I'm at on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. By the way, Anchor, if you guys are interested in the podcast, there will be a podcast episode of this particular week 4 in breakdown. But it's going to be a much shorter episode for the podcast listeners, okay? Make sure you guys check that out. So next week, draft. The draft begins. Thursday we have our draft special. Friday we have our top 5 rumors, and then it begins. So anytime that a rumor like a trade goes down starting in 2 weeks, anything can happen now. It is now time to go from rumors to transactions. It's like saying it's time to go from words to actions. Will Serge Ibaka become a Laker? Will Demar Derozan become a Laker? All those questions will start being answered in 2 weeks when we get started with free agency. This is going to be a lot of fun, guys. And I cannot wait to get started breaking this down. Okay, we'll see you guys next week